Your media, where you are. Get ready, steady, and let's set those body goals. Your Health Fix with Mo, a body and mind journey to a healthier you.
Hello and welcome to the Health Fix with Mo for another exciting episode. I'm particularly excited about this one because it's for a topic that I've been interested in and an event that I've been trying to get to participate in for the last 3 years now. Yeah, just been... you'll see why. I'll explain why. And if you're wondering what's happening right next to me, this gentleman over here is Warwick Bloom, head of internal PR at Hollard. And he's going to tell us about the Daredevil Run, right? And what it is, why Hollard is specifically interested in this type of cancer specifically, and when it is, why we should participate, and why we'd like your involvement in it. Warwick, how are you? Welcome, man.
Okay, thanks, man. Nice to be here.
So, this is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always takes a lot of courage to do these interviews.
Yeah.
But it takes more courage to face down cancer, and that's part of the reason why we do this.
Definitely. Why testicular and prostate cancer in particular?
So it's really interesting. You know, a lot of publicity surrounds cancers that affect mainly women. You know, things like breast cancer, ovarian cancer, things like that. There's a lot of publicity, a lot gets spoken about, a lot of media reports get published. But male cancers or cancers that affect mainly men, not so much. So we saw there was a need in the market to talk about these things. And then we very quickly realized that men don't like to talk about their health. And then it became even more important for us to get this out there, to get the word out there about testicular and prostate cancer, and especially how early testing can save lives. That's really the message behind the Daredevil Run. Is
how early is early?
Right. So testicular cancer affects young men, boys even as young as 15. I think the youngest recorded case is a boy of 11. So that kicks in quite early. And that can be detected through feeling abnormalities on the testicles. So it's a lot of self-detection work that gets done there. Prostate cancer affects men much later in life. The average age of men in South Africa diagnosed with prostate cancer is 66.
Okay.
But it does affect men from even before the age of 40. The experts recommend that you get tested from the age of 40 if you've got risk factors, and we'll talk about those a little bit later, and from the age of 50, irrespective of whether you've got risk factors or not. Because the scary truth, okay, this is going to blow your mind, the scary truth is that they reckon about 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and that increases for black men to potentially 1 in 4.
Yeah.
The stats that I've seen at the moment suggest that as many as 1 in 4 black men may be affected by prostate cancer.
Let's jump right into the risk factors, actually, while we're on that.
Yeah.
What are some of the risk... Are there any preventative causes?
So it's still quite a mysterious disease in that they don't know exactly what causes it. They can tell at a cell level what happens, but they don't know what causes it. But there are risk factors that they've identified.
This is prostate cancer,
This
right?
is prostate cancer we're talking about, yeah. The risk factors are age. Obviously, as you get older, the more prone you are to this particular cancer. And as I say, you should be testing yourself irrespective from the age of 50 and from the age of 40 if you're above risk. Obesity is a risk, and that I think we can most of us can control. Then race is a factor. As I say, prostate cancer affects black men for some unknown reason, actually more than it does.
There was a myth that came out a few years ago, is that the salt levels that we consume are actually might be a factor.
Might be interesting.
So I don't know.
Might be interesting if that's true of black men around the world, you know, because this is a worldwide stat.
Definitely.
It'd be interesting to understand that.
Look into that much more.
Yeah.
Then we need.
Yeah.
Then we'll know. Yeah.
So those are the main risk factors. But as I say, it's a disease that can affect anyone. And the scariest thing, for me, as a male who's just hit the 50s, the scariest thing is that if you have symptoms, it's probably too late.
For really?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to check it regularly.
Exactly.
Okay.
95%, I think it's 95%. I'm not a medical expert, but it's very close to in the 90s. If they catch it in time, it can be cured, prostate cancer. But once you start having symptoms, the chances of them curing it are actually quite low. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get treated.
Of course.
But it means that in this case, prevention is so much better than cure. And that's really the message that we try and drive with the devil is get tested. If you're black over 40, get tested. If you're white over 50, get tested. And everybody and all men are like, well, what's the test for prostate cancer? Well, the first test is a blood test, right? They call it a PSA test.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that right now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not mess about.
Yeah.
The digital rectal examination is something that we all fear. Or most of us are very fearful about. But that's a secondary test now. So the first test is blood test. Often the DRE will be used to verify that information that's coming out if that shows elevated levels of PSA. And if they catch it at that stage, then it's, as I say, it's entirely treatable and entirely curable. Once it goes beyond a certain stage, then the only cure is actually through chemotherapy. And actually what that does is they actually try and stop your testosterone production, which means that you lose your drive. It's not just your sex drive. You lose your drive as well, because testosterone is what kind of gives us the oomph to keep on going. So it's a very serious disease, or has very serious implications if you don't catch it early.
So what's the accessibility for disadvantaged areas? I mean, because I imagine information like this doesn't get around to them as
it should.
So as it should. So I can imagine that's one of the biggest challenges for you to drive that message across to those people. Sure.
Look, most clinics are able to do the kind of basic level tests, but we also started an initiative called the Man Van, where a portion of the funds that we raised went into creating a mobile clinic that went around 2 underserviced areas, not only applying tests, but giving people information around, the fact that this is when you need to get tested, and this is what happens, and then being able to catch it early enough.
Now, Warwick, this is an awesome initiative, right? And I've always wanted to be a part of it. Obviously, I spoke early on that I've always chickened out of it because it takes some convincing to get some gents to put on a speedo and run through town.
I'm not going to lie, it's not an easy thing from a psychological perspective. The reason we do it is because it's kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
And facing up to cancer is a bit of a challenge. So that's why we've kept it in its kind of raw form, if you like. It's a fantastic initiative. We've been involved as Hollard since 2014, but the run actually started in 2009, and it started off. A guy by the name of Nick Leavesley. Hi, Nick.
What's up, Nick?
Who wanted to win a competition on the radio. The prize, I think, was a hacky sack. I don't know if you remember hacky sacks, which are kind of those bean bags that you can juggle like a football.
Oh, okay. No,
right.
Yeah.
And he desperately wanted to win one. Entered the competition and didn't win. So he said, well, what if I ran down the streets of Joburg wearing nothing but a speedo? And I said, okay, cool, and we'll give you a prize. And then he said, well, hang on, I'm not sure I'm going to do this by myself.
Yeah.
So he got a couple of mates to run through rush hour traffic in Joburg in 2009. And that was where it started. They decided to dedicate it to one of the friends in the group whose dad had just been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, okay.
And so that was where the link between Daredevil and cancer came in. And then it evolved over the years to specifically focus on testicular.
Shout out to him.
So,
shout out to him.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So let's
runs it.
He still runs it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to meeting him, actually.
He's up in Joburg.
Looking forward to meeting him. So take us through the day. What happens on the day of the Daredevil Run?
Okay, so obviously in COVID we had to flex a little bit, so we couldn't have a public event, so we encouraged everybody to what we call run cancer out of their hoods.
Okay.
So we encouraged men to get together in small groups, 1 to 5, and run in their neighborhood.
Okay.
we're going to be doing that again this year, so you'll have that option.
Okay.
But then we have a big run at Zoo Lake in Joburg, and that's kind of the main event. It starts at 3 p.m. and it starts at 3 p.m. because we're going to run through rush hour traffic.
Okay.
And to kind of maximize the publicity, we kind of bring traffic to a standstill, and that because it's all about awareness, right? And so that's the main event. It's a 5K run, and anyone who runs on their own is encouraged to plot a 5K route and then post it on the Facebook page, and guys can then join in. Last year, we had runs all over the country in all the major centres, and I'm sure it'll be the same again this year. So don't be worried if you're worried about running alone. There will be a run somewhere near you that you can join in, and that's why we encourage anyone who organises a run to put it on Facebook so that guys can join in. But as I say, the main event, 5K run, we've had anything from 1,500. I mean, it started with 100 guys running. It's grown over the years. We have a couple of thousand on a regular basis. We're hoping for 5,000 this year because we are also happy that we can have a live event again. And we do a circular route, starts at Zoo Lake. We run up to the Hollard offices where we have a break and a drink. It's a very social run. It's a run, not a race. Of course. Because it's for men of all shapes and sizes. Okay. And I think that's important. Right. Because cancer doesn't pick and choose about who it affects, we want as many men as possible to participate. So it's not a demanding physical run. Some guys do use it for training, and they run out up front, and they get to Hollard earlier than everybody else.
20-minute 5K.
The 20K 5K crew. They're there.
Yeah.
They're there.
Okay.
As are the guys with magnificent bodies, but mostly it's about ordinary gents. Really doing their bit to raise awareness.
Listen, I'm looking forward to doing this run with some of my mates because they're very eager. You know, if you could just tell us how we register for this Daredevil Run.
Okay, so it's daredevilrun.com.
Okay.
Go there and just follow the instructions. It's 160 Rand to enter. All of that money goes to our cancer-related charities, which is the Cancer Association of South Africa, CANSA, and the Prostate Cancer Foundation. All of that money goes towards them. For 160 Rand, you get a Speedo and you get a entry band that just helps for identification purposes. And then you arrive on the day and
just run.
And I say arrive on the day like it's a small thing. Until you see the 100 other men in Speedos, it's a hell of a thing to get out of your car. Yeah. Semi-naked.
I mean, you wouldn't say you walked into to the office and you felt comfortable doing it. I was like, okay. That gave me some courage. I won't lie.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
But it's still intimidating. It's you can't and that's why the numbers are where the numbers are, because not every man feels comfortable in running in a Speedo. But as I say, it's about all shapes and sizes and all levels of fitness, and just getting the message out there that early testing saves lives. And
women don't participate in these runs?
So women have participated in the past around really being there to support the runners. So the streets of Joburg typically are lined with men and women. Of course, many women traveling in their cars will see the sight of hundreds of men running and kind of stop and have a look. And then obviously at the end where we all get together and have a drink afterwards and share our thoughts, then there's lots of women join us there as well. But it is a race that we've kept to men and particularly around the Speedo, because it is such an important symbol of the fight against these diseases. That's that story. Women are free to contribute. There is on the website, you can register, you can make a donation, so they can participate in that way as well.
And the socials, let's talk about, so how do people participate in the socials? Is there a hashtag?
It's hashtag Daredevil Run 2022, and remember it's run, not a race. Okay. So it's hashtag Daredevil Run 2022. There's an Instagram page, there's a Facebook page. It's all daredevilrun.com or at Daredevil Run. or at Daredevil_Run, some of the pages. But it can't really be mistaken for anything else because it really is the only purple-clad speedo run.
I love it.
in town.
I love it. Warwick, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you coming through and giving us more information about the Daredevil Run, particularly about testicular and prostate cancer. Something we really do need to look into more as gents as well. Gents, if you're watching, please, let's do this. And that's it for me, your boy, and the Health Fix with Mo. Warwick, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
This was
Bye.
awesome.